Friends, Romans and Patriots, lend me your ears and strap on your tinfoil hats, because it is time for the Gay Frog Chat. The Gay Frog Chat is a weekly panel discussion where we go chin deep into a different conspiracy. This week, we're going to be bringing you some live imagery from the front lines of Ottawa. In fact, let's just pull that out. We have a live feed, I believe, from Ottawa. This is everybody brace yourselves out there. There's some graphic imagery here about what's going on in Ottawa. We have ads coming in from the southwest, it looks like.
The Canadian Mountie ads.
The rebel forces are being crushed currently. It's tyranny in action is what we're seeing here. The trucker rebellion has ended in disaster.
They're holding the line for as long as they can.
Planet of Ottawa. If Ottawa was a planet, this is what it would look like.
If I was the truckers, wherever like their main like camp is, I would totally name it Echo Base.
Imperial Mounties have entered the base. Imperial Mounties have entered the
The first transport is away.
Yay! I hope you guys out there think this is as funny as I thought it was. I thought that was hilarious. So, anyway, I hope everybody out there is doing well tonight. If you guys have any comments or questions or whatever, give me an @eHonda, and I will do my best to get to those. As always, super chats are welcome, but not necessary. But thank you in advance for those, if anyone does. We'll get right into it. We're talking about Ottawa tonight. We're talking about Justin Trudeau. We're talking about all cops are bastards. A whole bunch of stuff. So we'll get to this story first. This is false reporting on the street, but the understanding was from these people, and I can't play the audio because there's music in it, but they thought that that person who got trampled by the horse in Ottawa, and we'll look at the video of that, they thought that they died, right? That was what they had heard on the street. And then look at this cop's face when he hears about it. You're like, yeah, that guy died. Blah, blah, blah. And look at this cop.
Fucking piece of shit.
He's just smirking and smiling. So great that someone died from a horse. Like, they didn't die. That lady's, as far as I understand, she got hurt. You know, she got fucking trampled by a horse. But she's been released from the hospital, so she's not dead. But yeah. Dwayne Christensen says, Matt disappeared again? Temporarily. I think he's dealing with some family shit right now, to be honest. Sucks, man. Shit comes in waves sometimes, you know? Just the way it goes. All right, this one was disturbing. These are leaked text messages from group texts of police officers who are in Ottawa right now, talking about their fancy food that they get to eat and how great it is to be in the Chateau Laurier buffet. Nothing but the best. Hashtag heroes. We are Canadian Mounties.
What did I walk into?
I don't know. Did you see the intro?
No. I just got here.
Here's the intro. We got to redo the intro real quick. We're talking about the live feed that is coming in from Ottawa right now in Canada from the trucker protest. Let me just pull it up.
Yeah.
Here it is. That's great. Yeah. So yeah, these are text messages from Mounties or police officers in Canada who were deployed to Ottawa, talking about cheers. Here's for some sweet OT, some overtime. Don't kick all of them out until next week gets our turn. Looks like we need more leg in hand into hand. Talking about the food again. What's this one say? Agreed. I'm signed up. Anyone not signed up, jump on this. Your police officers first and ride members second. Don't coward away when we're needed. Even one shift can relieve an ops member for one night. Hopefully not Monday. I don't want to be stuck 12 hours with you, Nixie. You are and you will. Damn, hopefully I'm in 11th person asking for it. Who got Sunday night? Me. Me too. See you there. I don't know. That one wasn't that bad. Have a second gas mask. I'll take it. Bring it tomorrow. Thanks. Time for the protesters to hear our jackboots hit the ground. Whoa, 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 Nixon. This is a kinder, gentler RCMP. Okay, we can give out free hugs and unicorn stickers. Sarcastic face.
This is why you should fucking not have cops. I don't
Pretty
know
much.
the answer to replacing cops, but like whenever you have cops, this is what they become. And like these are people in my mind that deserve to fucking get shot. Most of them. I'm sorry, but if you're going to talk about jackboots and being fucking Nazi thugs, maybe you deserve to die.
Okay, check this one. You saw the horse video, right? The video of the horse trampling the lady?
No.
Well, we'll get to that. But this guy's commenting, just watch that horse video. That is awesome. We should practice that maneuver. Agreed. Put me on the back of Giro and we'll head, and they will be served. Ha ha. Like, these are cops.
Yep. If you ever figured they were like anything else, like this is what happens when you end up on the wrong side of cops. They view everyone as the enemy now because they've been so militarized that if they're told you are the enemy, this is the sort of response you're going to get. They're all fucking hoorah, jolly green, time to go kill some commies, like talking about you.
So this guy shared the video of the lady getting trampled by the horse, and the guy's like, wow. And the other guy's like, that's awesome. And then another guy's like, we only think we're living the dream. And then another guy goes, that's what we need to do. Trample some people with horses. Got it. Got a super chat here from Stephen Carroll. Says, love how my friends spent all of 2020 saying fuck the cops, but now they're applauding the police state up there. I mean, it's rules for thee, but not for me. It's do what I say, but not what I do. It's hypocrisy does not exist as long as it's on the right side of history. And guess what? We get to decide who the right side of history is. It's fucking bullshit, and they know it. And it's clear to anyone who's paying attention. But my worry is that there's so many people who are not paying attention anymore. Like I was talking to people at work about the trucker protest, which has been going on for over 3 weeks now, right? And I was talking to this one dude who seems like he's a pretty smart dude. You know, like you seem like you're a smart guy, so let me talk to you about something that matters. And I was like, hey, what do you think about the Canadian protests, the trucker protest up in Canada? He's like, the what? I'm like, well, let me explain it to you. And then he just like, he didn't have any intelligible thought because he never even heard about it. He doesn't care about mandates. And it's like, okay. The smart people
the
don't
reality.
care.
There's about 90% of people that don't give a fuck about anything right now. Like, as long as their house doesn't catch fire, they don't get out of bed about it, you know? It's sad.
Until it happens to them, yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's kind of like a big flood coming down the river, you know? And like, even if your house isn't the first one to get hit with the rushing water flood that's coming down the river and flooding the shores and banks where the houses are of different towns and stuff, doesn't mean that it won't hit you eventually. And I don't know, like, what do you do about a big flood? You kind of divert some of the water maybe, or suck some of it up, or I don't know how you get rid of it, but they're not doing anything. They're funneling it even more downstream so that it hits downstream even harder eventually.
So
that makes sense.
I have a question. Like after we started drinking last night, I kind of got quiet. Like I went away. What happened after I fell asleep? I duked out.
We went for like 4 hours. I don't know. I got a little upset because I was drinking too and dealing with work shit, and people weren't cooperating with my chat the way I wanted them to, and I don't know.
It wasn't that bad though.
But I didn't go on.
I
and
don't.
on
I
about it.
guess my liquor tolerance is not what it used to be. I don't know if it's some of the medications I'm on or some shit, but fuck, I did not have that much to drink last night, and I was like blackout drunk. It's kind of scary.
I did notice you went from like 0 to hero pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about, man. That's the first time I've really started drinking since I started estrogen. Maybe that's it.
This picture from World War II, a soldier carrying a donkey. It is not that the soldier loves donkeys or has some sort of perversion. What's happening is the field is mined, and that if the donkey was free to wander as it pleased, it would likely detonate a charge and kill everyone. The moral of the story is that during difficult times, the first ones you have to keep under control are the jackasses who don't understand the danger that they pose and do as they please.
This is in a nutshell why
Pretty
we're
fair.
having trouble with Russia and China right now. Like we blinked in Afghanistan. Now the whole world is looking at us like we're weak, and we're being led by a bunch of people that don't fucking get that anymore. And they're that donkey on that dude's back.
Tara says,
Like
never
we're
cheer
about to have
for
war in Ukraine. Sorry.
never cheer for what the government does to your enemy. Instead, imagine it being done to you and understand that it should not be done because it will be. And I forget the exact saying that I'm thinking of when I read that. It was something like, never give a power to the government that you wouldn't want your worst enemy to have. Because if you give that power to the government, then eventually someone's going to be in power who is an enemy to you. And if they have that power and can use it against you, then they will. Whatever power.
The way
that
I
is.
see things right now, it's like there are two Americas. And like every time we switch political parties in office, people freak the fuck out because they don't know if it's the last time it's ever going to happen.
So here we have two different versions of President Blackface Hitler. The top version is during the pandemic when there were Black Lives Matter protests and stuff like that going on. The bottom shaved version is current day trucker protest Blackface Hitler. Just listen to the difference here. Let me turn it up. Oh.
Situation is upsetting. We're all very worried about family and friends. I know that's the reality for many of you. Let me remind you, Canada will always be there to defend the right of peaceful protest. We believe in the importance of dialogue, and that's why we've reached out through multiple means directly to the Indian authorities to highlight our concerns. Individuals are trying to blockade
This is really quiet, isn't it?
our democracy.
It's very bad radio.
Well, basically, the top one, he's saying, hey, we will always defend the right of the people to peacefully protest. And on the bottom, he's saying, individuals are trying to blockade our economy, our democracy, our fellow citizens, daily lives. It has to stop. It's like, do you not remember, like, not even a year ago? I mean, whatever. What's the TAPS Act?
Isn't that the red
John
flag
Boy.
law? That's
Maybe?
the eye patch dude. Dan Crenshaw did a national red flag law called the TAPS Act, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, you might be right on that.
Well, you know, he was a
The pirate law.
If I remember correctly,
Sorry.
wasn't Dan Crenshaw one of the people from Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum's list of future leaders that they were sponsoring? If I remember correctly.
It probably just
Who else is on that?
probably just
Who else is on that list? Who else is on that list? People like AOC and Justin Trudeau. Isn't that weird?
If
Yeah,
you
the
really
TAPS Act
wanted,
totally. Oh, good.
if you really wanted to manipulate the whole game, you wouldn't make a whole bunch of people and put them all on one side. You would make a whole bunch of like AOCs and Dan Crenshaws and put them in every pot. I wonder if that's what they're doing. Like, we're just going to cause
Dan
chaos.
Crenshaw, if you just look at him, he looks like a fucking Bond villain. Does like a Bond villain henchman?
I'm
yeah, not the top
saying
Bond villain, but
someone would-
definitely, yeah.
I'm not saying that someone would train up a bunch of Nazi kids and have them go be in special forces just so that one would lose an eye and survive to be a fucking senator or congressman from fucking Texas. But that's the kind of like shit that we're dealing with here, I think. The level of maniacal and the level of conspiracy that's going on. Like, people have been raised since childhood to do shit that they're doing now, I think.
KY Rides
scary
says,
as
love how another anti-Nazi became an actual Nazi. It's fucking true, dude. Trudeau. Ho!
True. Is that true, Dad? It's Trudeau. Oh, Jesus.
I like that one.
Oh, damn it.
Seriously, though, he does look like some Nazi motherfucker with the eye patch.
So listen to this, if you can hear it.
Question and commentaire, questions and comments. The Honourable Member for Ottawa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I listened to my colleague's speech. I had a constituent that wanted me to ask a question about outside interference to our democracy. Klaus Schwab is the head of the World Economic Forum, and he bragged how his subversive WWII, World Economic Forum, has quoted infiltrated governments around the world. He said that his organization had penetrated more than half of Canada's cabinet. And I was wondering, in the interest of transparency, could the member please name which cabinet ministers are on board with the WEF's agenda? My concern is the deputy.
Order. I know that the member was in a really good question there, but the audio is really bad and the video is really bad as well. And I apologize. I don't know if the member. Okay, let's try again. The honor.
So just move on to another question. Don't address the question about Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum and how he had admitted on national TV in 2019 that half of the members of the Canadian Parliament were in his pocket because he paid to get them there.
My thing is, I think it's not just him. I think there's like a half a dozen people like Klaus Schwab. That might be
that's
issue.
the thing. There
That's why
is.
it seems like they're chaos. They all have different agendas.
I mean, the two main ones that people think about are George Soros and Klaus Schwab. But there's other actors who do other things in little ways that aren't as obvious or upfront about it or whatever. But yeah, they're working together. And when you say they, everyone's like, who's they? Who's they? What do you mean they? What's they mean? I don't know what they is. You're saying things because you're conspiracy theorists. What's they mean? Right? And they say that shit. Like, that's what I mean when I say they.
As high up as those two are, those guys are puppets for other people. I think that's one thing that a lot of people on the right side of things don't get is, yeah, George Soros, spooky dude, whatever. That's not the end of the fucking chain. I can guarantee it. With the amount of money that he's playing with, he's probably tied into the big they, Rothschilds or whoever, like you want to name the they.
Who? What do you mean they? You can't say they. Yeah, and I am.
Well, you don't get that kind of money out of nowhere.
Well, the thing is, once you get to that kind of money, it's literally not about money anymore because you have more money than you could ever spend. Like You could buy any boat, any house, all the boats, all the houses, all the food, all the cocaine and bitches, or whatever it is that you could possibly want for the rest of your life, for your kids' lives, for your grandkids' lives. Once you get to that level of money, it's not about money anymore, because you just like money is not an issue.
Money's
It's about
cheap.
power. It's about control. It's about influence.
Yep.
It's about notoriety. It's like all of these other things.
Well, like
I don't know. I was. Oh, good.
if you ever have any amount of money at all, you'll realize how these people think. I think a lot because, like you said, once you have enough money where you don't have to worry about food for the rest of your life, you don't have to worry about X, Y, and Z for the rest of your life. Well, what do you worry about now? And it's all of this like bigger shit. I think, at least for the evil ones. There's probably a whole bunch of people that just go fuck on an island.
TC is triggered. Us versus who? Who is they? You don't even know everyone. The fuck ever, dude. So here's which city is this? These are not Ottawa cities in Canada. With "Let's Go Brandon" signs and Canada flags. Calgary.
How do you translate "Let's Go Brandon" to mean Trudeau?
I'm gonna say it in French.
Fucking yeah.
Let's go Trudeau in French.
Yeah.
Let's look that up.
Fuck. It's been many, many years since I took French, so I have no idea.
Allons-y.
Allons-y, Trudeau. Allons-y, Trudeau.
Yeah, but the problem is like we're not saying because Brandon's not who it's actually referring to.
Yeah.
So we got to find
Something
We
that
need a
sounds
different
like
name.
Trudeau. Allons-y, stupid hoe.
I said your mom's a hoe.
Allons-y. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, they got British Columbia, Quebec City, Calgary. Everywhere these people are having the same peaceful protests in those major cities in Canada because of the crackdowns in Ottawa. They've now gone to these other cities and fucking clogged them up too. So now they're going to have like another national emergency where they're going to have to send jackbooted thugs to other cities. And what I say you do, Canada, this is just my idea. Like, okay, like they're cracking down on Ottawa. Fine, leave. Get out of Ottawa. Let the cops fucking straighten things out however they want. And once things calm back down and they get rid of their fences, you drive right back in.
So that's what I was about to say is the thing that made like Ted Kaczynski effective as a political thing is the fact that he kept coming back, right? Like he'd disappear for 5 or 10 years and then start bombing people again. Like you need to be that with this movement. You need to melt away, let them beat you, and then come back 10 times harder.
I really like this. This is what's happening on the streets of Ottawa. The mainstream media that's there, like those who are anchors or whatever, like out in the field for CBS, NBC, ABC, whoever, I guess, whatever the Canadian versions thereof are out on the street and just getting screamed at, and people are calling them liars and propaganda artists and all. It's fucking great, dude. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Professional journalists were largely shut out. Canada's not going in this direction. Remember that. Now let's turn around and show what's really happening here.
But it's because of shit like that, right?
Others.
Like, okay, we're on the street. We're here with Fox News or whatever. Let's show a shot of the protest. And they put the camera in an angle that shows as few people as possible to make it seem like there's no one at the protest. It's like obviously completely 100% disingenuous. And it's there in front of your face if you're just willing to look. But if you just go along with what the mainstream media tells you, then you think that you know what's going on, even though what you think you know is the opposite of the truth of what's going on. And based upon that lie, They're able to lead you down the road by the nose, like a fucking cattle, like a fucking sheep, to whatever end that road goes to, wherever they want you to go. So just think about that.
When it was the left protesting Trump, pallets of bricks showed up for them to use. Do you think we're going to get our own bricks, or are we going to have to bring our own? Somehow I doubt that we get our own bricks.
I doubt there will be bricks.
Isn't that funny how that works? But there's
There
no
will be
conspiracy,
bricks.
Honda.
There will just not be free bricks. That's all.
You have to buy your own bricks. God,
We'll
what
have
kind
to
of
chisel
shit
them out.
revolution is this?
To chisel them out of the walls of the buildings. That's how you get bricks.
You have to acquire your own bricks. Yeah.
Once you demolish a few buildings, there's lots of Freemasonry laying around, right?
Yeah, like Minecraft. You just start like hitting it with your fist until a brick falls off.
Yeah,
There's actually someone at every protest that has like a kiln, and they're building, like they're mixing up clay and sand and shit, and they're like firing up their own bricks.
I think you just bring
Fresh
a sledgehammer. You bring a sledgehammer, and you have all the bricks you need.
It's fucking Kevin McAllister on the top of a building from Home Alone 2.
You are being
But seriously,
too
wasn't that
sheepish.
weird?
What the fuck
Wasn't
are you
that
even
weird
talking
that they
about
had
there, TC?
pallets?
Hold on. What is TC talking about here? Puppets, I tell you, all of you. By going against the mainstream media's narrative with obvious fucking evidence of them lying, we are somehow being sheepish puppets. Got it. I mean, if you can explain that logic to me, I'm very interested to hear what you have to say.
I do want to see where TC's pitching me as a puppet, because I've barely said 5 words this entire chat.
You're a puppet because no one's pulling your strings to make you talk angry.
From a certain point of view, we are puppets in that we're openly discussing this or whatever, and that's probably to some extent what they want you to do so they can find you. But how else do you like talk this shit? So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I don't know.
Buildings on fire and looting going on equals peaceful protest. Standing in the street and honking equals terrorists.
Yep.
That's exactly right. You guys need to lighten up. You're all plebes. No, I'm asking you about your fucking argument that you made there. Because you're saying that we're puppets and sheep by not going along with what the sheep herders want us to do. Okay. Just explain it to me. That's all I'm asking. Okay, here's the horse incident in question.
Oh, come on through. Come on through. What is happening here? Wow, what is this lady doing? Trampling horses. Trampling. Stop it. Oh my God. They just trampled this lady. They just trampled that lady.
So the horses just trampled over 3 people. One lady got it pretty good. She ended up in the hospital, I think, with like a broken rib or something, some shit like that. I don't know exactly what she had, but she's been released from the hospital, no longer in critical condition or whatever. But she very easily could have died. And it turns out that the woman who got trampled was I forget what they call them in Canada. Not Native American.
First Nations people.
Native people.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. That's what she is. So she's like an elderly, handicapped First Nations person who just got trampled by the police in Ottawa on a horse. And they're saying that the official story from the police is that she threw a bicycle in front of a horse, which made it freak out and then trample her. But the thing is, no one has a bicycle. There's no bicycle. It's fucking ice on the roads everywhere. You wouldn't want to ride a bicycle.
It's fucked up all the way around.
Do they have snow chains for bikes? Would that?
I'm sure there's some sort of snow chain, but even then, like, I don't know. I'm calling.
Sorry, I got
bullshit.
distracted by the rabbit hole of does a bicycle work on snow?
Motorcycles have, ice tires that you can buy that have basically like embedded fucking spikes in the rubber.
Yeah.
And it would be the most murderous way to kill somebody, to run them over with a motorcycle with those tires on. Yeah.
Not that Honda's thought about that.
I just saw them and I'm like, dude, if your leg got ran over or your foot or
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah,
like,
bad
seriously,
news bears.
fuck you up. It would tear flesh out of you like a fucking shark.
So I saw some video of a dude that survived a bear attack, and like I guess he lost most of his lower jaw and said bear attack and lived through it. It was kind of horrific. It looked like the dude from fucking Hannibal 2 or whatever, the Sounds of the Lambs 2, or that movie was called.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It was like that dude, but in real fucking life, angry. It's haunting.
So these are the new units of police officers, quote unquote, that have been released upon the people of Ottawa. Notice how they don't have normal police officer uniforms. They're wearing green fatigues. No one has a name tag, which, as far as I understand, is a law in Canada that you have to identify your name as a police officer on your shirt. It has to say your name on your badge or whatever. Well, none of these dudes have a badge, and certainly not a name tag. I mean, this one dude has numbers on his helmet, but that could just be the number of the helmet so that they have an inventory of it or whatever. Might have nothing to do with him personally. You know what I mean?
They do this so that they can actually go out and police, because of all the shit going on right now, no one will go out and do what needs to be done unless they have immunity. So they're fucking taking away every identifying characteristic of people so they can go put foot to ass to put this shit down. Would be my guess.
Well, the conspiracy theory, and I say that because this hasn't been confirmed, is that these dudes are UN. They're
Maybe.
fucking blue hats. They're just not wearing blue hats.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was just like Canadian National Guard or whatever it is too, though. Or even just the
they're supposed to have name. Go ahead.
Or I was gonna say even just the regular police, but like I said, they've stripped them of all identifying shit so they can go break the law.
What the law there is that they're supposed to have identifying markers on their name tags, etc.
Isn't it funny how the law always applies up until it doesn't?
Right.
I know what the reverse Uno card in all this is. The truckers and protesters run over, get yourself like a handful of soot from the exhaust and rub it all over your face. Then they can't hit you.
Just remember this fact. The Nazis did not break a single law.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There you go.
Well, once you
All
take
the laws
control
for
and
the
can write the laws, I mean, laws are really
just a thought, man. Well, it's who's writing the laws and who are the laws for and what do the laws do. And I think it was Weinstein was talking about, Brett Weinstein was talking about the point of a system is what it does. So you can say like, okay, like the Constitution and the government of America is to ensure the freedoms and protect the rights of the people and to ensure our ability to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and all this other stuff, right? What does that system do? Does it do that? No, it does not. It says that that's what it's for, but that's not what it's for.
Seems to feed the military-industrial complex a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's corporatism, crony capitalism. It's not capitalism. And whenever you talk to these leftists who are against capitalism, what they're actually against is crony capitalism. Because if it was true capitalism, then no one would have a reason to complain about anything. Like, honestly, in true capitalism, which I believe we had some semblance of in the early stages of our country, which is what gave us so much wealth in the first place and so much power in the world and so much innovation, was the fact that people were able to go out and make something for themselves and produce and invent, and the country was better. And now we have all of these corporations that want to stifle all the little companies, the little dudes from coming up. guess what's happening? It's tyranny.
So part of the thing that made America great was the ability to go out on the frontier and make new shit. And like that's how you got like places like Chicago even. Like that wasn't a thing in the 1700s, right? People went there for the opportunity to fucking build a new town, basically. And we've lost a lot of that in America. Like there's no place to go really. And that's one of the failing things in capitalism is in my mind is once someone has control of a whole area, your choice is to go find a new area or, you know, be a peon in their system, basically. Like, go work for fucking Google or some shit, and then, like, go run your own company. It's two very different things.
Well, I mean, if you work for Google or Alphabet or whatever, then you have pretty good access to, like, I don't know, being a pedophile. They seem to keep getting caught for shit like that.
I'm just saying, like, it's hard to go start your own company when there's no place to go do that. Or, like, maybe, like, there needs to be a jump in some sort of technology to justify doing that. So unless you're like Tesla or some shit, you're just fucked.
What you're talking about is the effects of the Matthew principle, Pareto distribution, right? And it's a fact of nature that affects everything from the height of trees to the size of stars and black holes and to the success of businesses or individuals, right? All the way down to which lion gets the most food. And that is that the Matthew principle states, to those who have nothing, more will be taken. To those who have everything, more will be given. And that is the tendency for, like on YouTube, for instance, right? Like if you are doing YouTube videos and no one's watching them, and you keep doing the same thing, probably no one's going to watch those either. But if you have a bunch of people who watch your videos and 1 million subscribers and a bunch of shit, then everything that you do, there's another opportunity. Everywhere you go, there's someone who wants to like give you a product to review so that you can give them a little bit of you know, like you just have all of these opportunities that happen because you're already big.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens in cities.
Between that and the effect of the availability of resources, like people don't get it. Like anything you do, if you're going to build it from like the ground up to produce something to fucking make money, like where are you going to get power? Where are you going to get land? Where are you going to get like basic shit? And once the price of all that shit is crazy high, it keeps you from ever doing anything, which means that big businesses get bigger and small businesses never get started at all.
Or the other one that I'm thinking of right now is this: how much does it cost to produce?
What the fuck?
How much does it cost to produce a pencil? And you might say, well, I can get a 20-pack of pencils for $2, so it's like 10 cents a pencil. But the answer is a fuck ton of money to produce the first pencil, because you got to build the factory and you got to cut down trees and you got to get graphite and you got to like produce those things in a way that you can mill them together and make a pencil. And then you got to make the eraser and that little fucking steel band that goes around it to hold the eraser on, and the yellow paint that goes on the outside of the pencil. And if you have to create all of those things from scratch,
so
it's like $1 billion pencil.
In order to get a 10-cent pencil, you have to buy 20 billion pencils. If that makes any sense. Or make 20 billion pencils.
Exactly. So
it's sort of like, yes, it costs 10 cents, but like to get it to cost 10 cents costs a lot of fucking money.
TC says, the world is under control. Honda has no power to change anything significantly. Renting seems like a bit of a waste of energy. Well, I mean, if that's how you feel.
At least this gives me something to do on the weekends.
Yeah. All right, let's listen to the...
and get blackout drunk, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Let's listen to the chief of the Ottawa police.
If the protesters at this point
retreat and go home, are they going to be getting sort of repercussions down the road? Or are you going to be sort of actively pursuing the people that you've been sort of documenting and filming who are still out there protesting? What are your plans after this, after the protest is over?
So I think it's a great question. And the simple answer is yes. If you are involved in this protest, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with financial sanctions and criminal charges. Absolutely. This investigation will go on for months to come. It has many, many different streams, both from a federal financial level, from a provincial licensing level, from a criminal code level, from a municipal breach of court order, breach of court injunction level. It will be a complicated and time-consuming investigation that will go on for a period of time. You have my commitment that that investigation will continue, and we will hold people accountable for taking our streets over.
So, a couple things there. Number one, Canada now has a January 6th that they can go after people for. Number two, Steadley called it out. Note he called it a protest. And then number three, TC says, laughing hysterically is your answer. All right. Well, here's the thing, dude. I asked you a question earlier to explain yourself and your thinking, and you never did. So why should I do it for you?
I don't get why you don't just block TC. He's a dickhead anyway.
Because he's still, I mean, it still has to have a voice. I mean, right?
I mean, you're not being lewd to people. You're just wrong about everything that you say, so it's fine.
I don't know. So the last couple of comments towards you I thought were pretty rude.
Yeah, it's pretty rude. So here's the indigenous woman of color who's elderly and all this other stuff who got trampled. That the cop was smirking about because he thought that she died. Poor lady. She was there for freedom, man. She's there protesting because Canada's gone overboard. And I mean, what do you do? What do you do when peaceful protest is not allowed?
Where does this end? That's my question.
Well, the quote is, when you make peaceful protest impossible, you make violent revolution inevitable. Oh no, did Tom Petty die or something?
Wait, what?
Tom Petty died a long time ago. Tom Petty died like a year or two ago.
I'm thinking Richard. Sorry. I was thinking.
Why is he trending on Twitter right now? Did he die like this? Is his birthday today or something?
Or anniversary of his death, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe that's it. Sorry. I was like, squirrel.
Squirrel. I don't know. I seriously think a lot of this shit in Canada and the US both is like going to slowly simmer to the point that it gets violent. Especially that shit in Canada. They keep fucking with people to the level that they are. Like, the whole country's up in arms already.
Well, I was thinking about this. Why is America not doing exactly what Canada has been doing for the past 2 years? And the answer, I think you guys all know, is the Second Amendment, because they can't. Because they know that if they start pushing too hard, people are going to push back. And when the people pushing back have guns, then you really have to escalate things in order to win. They're not necessarily willing to do that quite yet.
I think the people in power are really, really worried about the optics that would happen when they crush the first civilians to raise guns against them. Because whoever does, no matter if it's one of you or 10,000 of you, they're going to crush you. But that is going to make the news. Like the U.S. government fucking firebombing 10,000 people outside of Washington, D.C. would make international news. They don't want that. But just based on how they seem to feel about us, like they would gladly do it, I think.
Oh, and here's the cops just arresting somebody. You know, they're just arresting
kneeing the shit out of that person.
No, they're just arresting him. See, they're just arresting him. That's what they're doing is they're arresting him. Yeah.
Yeah. There's putting
clean
on
arrest.
handcuffs the nice way. Why won't they fucking go on?
Okay, and then this one pissed me off too. Let me unmute.
Why is the camera in my face right now? Are you here partaking?
You walked
Right
up
now
to
you're
me.
in the red zone.
I'm scared. I want to go for a coffee down there. Can I go
Where's
for a
the
coffee?
resident still being arrested right
Do you
now?
live in this? No, I
You're not
don't live
excluded
here,
from
but
that. Where do you
I'm
live?
Alberta.
Time for you to leave.
I can't even go down there for
No,
a coffee.
no, go grab yourself in the red zone right now. If you don't leave right now, you will be arrested. Do you understand me?
I can't go for a coffee.
Grab your stuff, because if we see you, we'll be patrolling all day. We see you again, it'll be different. What did I tell you? Take your camera and get out of here. Do you understand that?
I'm walking away.
Walk away. Your phone doesn't need to be in our faces when you're walking away. Go.
My phone.
Are you gonna walk, or are you gonna get arrested?
I was
Go
walking
now.
away.
Get out of here.
God, I want to shoot that cop.
Oh my goodness. Hope you can go to sleep at night.
Oh, he sleeps fine because he has no. I was thinking about this too. What do you think? Okay, it's like something like 1% of people in the general population is a sociopath, right? Meaning, if you meet 100 random people, odds are one of them is going to be a sociopath. In the realm of police, I would venture to guess that the concentration of sociopaths is somewhat higher than the general population. I would assume
100%.
I would assume somewhere in the order of, like double to 10 times, somewhere in there. Like either double what it is in general population, maybe as high as like 10 times as high. What do you guys think?
I
think
can't
they're
put a
all
number
fucking
on it, but I
psychos.
would agree that's definitely considerably higher in my opinion.
And that's
I
why you
think
get these.
every last one of them that has been on the job for more than a year or two has some sort of deep psychological condition. I think the job does it to you.
Well, I mean, I will say dealing with the general public, when you just continually get the same piece of shit person coming in with just a different face, eventually you're just like, I don't like fucking care. You kind of have like a PTSD reaction to it almost, like you have like a physiological reaction. At least I do when I'm dealing with these people that I don't want to deal with, who are giving you a hard time, who are there to fuck with you and get something for free. I'm talking about at my work, not a cop, right? And I've been doing it for a really long time. So yeah, it does get to you eventually. I would assume with what police deal with, it probably happens a lot quicker.
So, I don't know. I've had experiences in my life where the police went from treating me one way to treating me entirely differently based on, they assumed things about me when they walked up to me, and then talking to me and revealing credentials and shit revealed that not to be the case, and that kind of thing. And it's like they approach the general fucking person with this attitude that like you must be a shitbag, and it's really just disturbing, and I hate it. I hate them.
Well, I mean, like, part of that's in their training, right? Because like there's certain things that are not within their legal purview to tell you to do, right? Like in America, for instance, if you are recording a police officer with your phone, they can't tell you to stop. They cannot force you to stop. They cannot order you to stop. They can ask you to, but the way that they ask you isn't like, hey, can you please stop recording me, please? Like, can you stop recording me? Can you get that camera out of my face? And they say it in a way, and they're in a position of authority and power where 90%, 95% of people are just going to be like, oh, fuck, he's going to arrest me if I don't. Not knowing that actually that phone in your hand can be a protection for you if you are being accosted by the police. I don't know. Sometimes it can make you a target too, though. I mean, look at fucking
HBO Matt.
Yeah, HBO Matt. Like,
well, my experiences with cops is like, as long as they think you're stupid and poor, they treat you one way. And as soon as they know you're rich, armed, and have a lawyer, they treat you entirely differently.
I wanted to say, Andrew C. said, statistically, they are found more in positions of power. You're talking about sociopaths. And yeah, I think that's probably the highest concentration of sociopaths in the United States is in Congress.
Oh, I would believe that in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Well, think about it. Like, if you're a sociopath on Capitol Hill, does that benefit you or like make it harder for you? Totally benefits you. It gives you advantage because you don't have to deal with the emotions of fucking people over on your way to the top, right? Versus if you have a conscience and you have morals and stuff like that, that really gets in the way of advancing your career on Capitol Hill. Skidmark says, just joined. Was that Canada? What are we talking about? Yes, we're talking about Canada. We're talking about police. We're talking about how the police are just fucking dogs that follow fucking orders and don't think for themselves and do what they're fucking told because they're pieces of fucking shit. All cops. I don't care. Fuck you if you're a cop.
The best part is if you treat them like they're a dog, they actually like it. It's kind of sad and pathetic.
Oh, you're a good cop. Oh, he's so good.
No, like when you walk into a room of fucking dogs, like you can take command of the room just by how you like look at them and interact with them. And cops are very much the same way. It's like dealing with a pack of wolves or some shit. They're very interesting.
Like if you look at them in the eye, then they take it as a challenge to their authority.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And like if you look them all in the eye and don't look away and are 6'5", they usually tend to have an attitude problem for some reason.
I've had them like I was riding my motorcycle one time and it was cold, so I was just trying to get home. And I was like 4 blocks away from my house, and I hit the gas a little too hard because I got excited because I was almost home and I was going to finally be able to get off the bike, get inside, and warm up because I was fucking freezing. And of course, I did it right by a cop who pulled me over. And then with their hands on their guns, were like, get off the bike. All right, take off your helmet. All right, do this now. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. And they fucking patted me down to make sure I wasn't carrying a gun, and all this other stuff, which I just happened to not be that night, but usually I am when I was writing. And I was just like, God damn, dude. Like, how is that not illegal search and seizure?
Yeah.
Like, you pulled me over for speeding. I pulled right over. I complied with every order that you gave me. You asked me if I had a weapon. I told you no. And then you patted me down to make sure. How is that not a legal search and seizure?
At least they didn't throw you to the ground.
I suppose not.
Because they could easily do that.
Dude, the one guy, he was like shaking. Like you could tell his adrenaline was going. And he was like I was like, dude, if I fucking like sneeze right now, I might get shot.
Probably. Itchy finger.
HBO Matt dropped in $2, said recording cops is organized crime. Don't do it, kids. You get a $105,000 bail, $5,000 more than the guy who attempted to assassinate the mayor of whatever the fuck that Minneapolis.
Yeah, the mayor candidate of whatever fucking northern state that is, northern city.
$100,000 bond there, but if you record the police in Texas, $105,000 bond. That's.
Why do I now want to see someone put a GIF together of like someone recording a cop and then just Cuba Gooding Jr. doing the no, Ricky?
Well, the other thing that they do, like in regards to the January 6th people, right? You entered the building you shouldn't have. You stayed between the velvet ropes. You took some selfies. You left. We arrested you a month later. You've been in jail for a year now. Your court dates finally come. We're charging you with a charge that can land you in jail for 10 years if you're convicted, right? But you've already been in jail for a year, so let's just give you a plea bargain so that you plead to this lesser charge and we give you time served and you can go home. Most people in that position are going to take the plea bargain rather than fight it. Because if you fight it, you lose.
You're fucked.
Now you have 9 years to think about your mistake, you know. But the thing is, the law is technically on your side, because what law did you break? They can't prove this, they can't prove that, even though they're alleging it. They're gonna put you in court and give you like a binger prosecutor who's going to fucking make every argument that he can possibly make. And the other scary thing is about DC. It's like 95% Democrat voters.
If you hold them without charge long enough, what's the difference? Like, if you can hold everybody for 2 or 3 years without even charging them, then like you're taking 2 or 3 years of somebody's life away for just opposing the state. Seems like something that they'd want to do.
James O'Keefe, quote, the punishment is the process.
Yes.
They're not processing you to punish you. They're punishing you by processing you.
I mean, could someone sue over that? I mean, because they're legally holding them at this point, aren't they?
I think so, but I don't know the particular grounds on which you would sue and how you would go about it and which type of lawyer you would need. Like, I don't know.
If you would even win. They'll probably come up with some bullshit excuse of why they're holding, or magically come up with a fucking form that shows that they actually charged you but didn't charge you. Bunch of crock shit.
I don't know, man. And like the confirmation bias that people have these days it's hard to get around. And I don't know what level I personally have that. Because there is a certain level of confirmation bias that I probably do hold when I'm listening to a story from like a leftist point of view or whatever, that I just dismiss it out of hand, you know. But if someone's making a valid point and it's contrary to what I believe, I'm not the type to not listen and not at least consider before dismissing. I'll usually at least think about it and see if there's any logic or truth to what you're saying. And if there is, I tend to fucking change my point of view. That's the other part of it. That's the thing that the left doesn't do. When something goes against their narrative, they call it like Russian conspiracy theorist lies that are, you know, or whatever it is. They fucking have a way of rationalizing their point of view continually.
Yep.
What are you going to do? All right, let's watch this. So there are this is a coffee shop in Ottawa. There are truckers inside drinking coffee, and the police don't like it. And the owner or the manager or whoever this guy is does not want to let the police in.
Good for him.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 police outside of this coffee shop.
They're saying that they're going to break it.
Something about when a girl gets angry and starts moving her head all quick when she's talking makes me just want to like never comply with what she says at all. I don't know.
I mean, at this point, what law are they breaking? I mean, they're threatening to break down the door just to remove the truckers. What the fuck are they doing? Is it a crime to drink coffee now?
They don't have the right to be in Canada anymore because they're about to be unpersons.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to get a bunch of...
feel if you're getting arrested in this shit, you're probably going to get black bagged and put in some hole for over a year.
Can we trade a bunch of Canadian refugees for some Mexican refugees?
Yeah, I'm down.
It's like
what's the exchange rate?
5-1. 5 Mexicans to every Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say 10-1.
10-1 would be better. I was starting off.
He's trying not to be
moderate.
greedy. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if there were jobs in America?
I'm just saying, there's probably literally a million illegal immigrants living in the Denver metro area right now. I would trade them for 200,000 Canadians.
Oh yeah, they'd be more fucking grateful to be here.
Colorado, make Colorado great again. Christian Lopez says, y'all don't like Mexicans? No, it's not that. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of illegal Mexicans in America who are here because of refugee status.
If you go into the east side of Tulsa here, you'll run into a neighborhood where it is all illegal Mexicans. Like, no one in the neighborhood speaks English. Like, good luck if you get caught there at night. Bad shit happens there. It's like that, I would figure, in most major cities in the U.S.
Yeah, there was a story in the paper earlier not this week, I think, talking about the crime rate in Denver and how Denver's considered the worst city to own a vehicle in for several factors, being like wear and tear on your car because of driving it, because of cost of maintenance, because of the cost of the car locally, but also because of the likelihood of it being stolen. And Denver was like the number 3 city in the nation or something like that as far as car thefts go. And it wasn't like that a couple of years ago. It honestly wasn't.
And TC, how is that being racist? I mean, they're here illegally. They don't belong here. And all we're saying is we'll trade them for someone that will actually appreciate being here and would want to contribute to fucking society. Whereas these illegal immigrants are not. All they're doing is sponging off the fucking government.
I don't think that's entirely true. I think a lot of the illegals that are here are doing really shit work for shit pay that, like, a lot of us would be probably balking at. And, like, it supports this whole, like, economy of rich people that have gardeners and maids and shit that are fucking Mexicans. Well, that's the real point of it.
I think if you go back to like late 90s, right, and you look at the typical illegal alien from Mexico or south of the border here in America, what were they doing? Well, there was the ones that I knew had 2 or 3 jobs. All they did was wake up at like 4 a.m. and like go do construction all day, get off at like 4 p.m, and then go to like the restaurant job and cook all night, and then go back home at midnight and then sleep for 4 hours and do it again. And they would take all of their money, because there'd be like 4 or 5, 10 of them that live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I'm not even kidding. This sounds racist saying it, even kind of. But these are the dudes that I knew back then, you know. So their rent was like $100 a month because there's so many of them paying rent that their portion of rent is basically nothing. And they just save every penny that they're making. And then once they get to a certain level, and it wasn't that much, like 100,000, they would take their $100,000 and they'd go back to Mexico and retire. Yep. So that was their whole plan. They'd live here for maybe 5-10 years. They'd get their $100,000. They'd go back, and that was that. There was this one dude. His name was like Mario, and then he got caught by La Migra, by immigration. And then a couple months later, he showed back up at work, and his name was like Jose. So these dudes were hard workers, though, is my point. The ones that we're getting today, like the dudes coming across the border today, aren't coming here to work. They're coming here to mooch. That's the difference. It's a different class of people that's coming over the border.
And that's what I was saying a while ago.
I don't know if that's 100% true, because, like, I think a lot of them that are coming here, like, living on the streets and having a shit job in America is, like, way better than living in Mexico.
I'm sure it's not 100% true. You know, I'm like, there's always people who don't like fall into whatever rule it is that you're trying to say or whatever thing that's going on. There's always someone who falls outside of that. You know what I mean? But as far as like the lion's share of the people, yeah, I think it is true.
All the ones I've known were dudes here working like at least 1 or 2 jobs and sending all their money back to Mexico and or saving it, like what you were saying. And like once they had $100 grand, like think of what that'll buy in Mexico. Like you could set yourself up with a ranch pretty easy.
I mean, most of them, they'll just buy like a little piece of land and then take some of the money and buy some bricks and, you know, build a fucking little house out in the woods somewhere and retire. You got enough money to buy whatever the fuck you want, pretty much. You know, you can get a little truck and get some like fruits and vegetables growing in your backyard, and yeah, you're good.
What more do you really need? I kind of admire those guys, to be honest.
Honestly, dude, like I wish that I could have done that. Like looking at them, like those dudes back then were like, I was working my ass off back then because I was going to school and I was working. Yeah. So they were just working and working. And if like that 5-year period of time, like I just lived like them and fucking then gone back down to Mexico, like I could have retired too, like a long time ago. It's all good. Most Mexicans come here but bust their ass for everything they get, way harder than the average person born here. You should respect their resolve to work hard way more than we do. I'm saying of the dudes that I know who bust their ass, I respect the fuck out of them. I am also saying that there's another group of people in that group that do not fit what you just said.
My issue is, wouldn't it be nice to be able to go find a job doing some sort of physical labor that actually paid enough to support your fucking family? Because like if they weren't here, you know what it would cost to do construction work and shit? Like Honda, we would be gods or some shit, like just because you could run a bulldozer. That's my issue with it. And no one wants to talk about it, but it is like the elephant in the room that a whole bunch of cheap fucking better labor coming into the U.S. kills a lot of fucking jobs. And like if you even talk about it, they go, "You're a racist." Sorry, but like when you have 100 extra people come in that can swing hammers, the people that can swing hammers no longer are as valuable.
I mean, there's definitely political reasons to let as many illegal Mexicans into the country as possible, right?
There is a lot.
And if you don't recognize that and you just call everyone racist who brings it up, you have an incredibly large blind spot for the reality of the world going on around you.
Yeah.
Daniel says, true, Ray, but there's shit wages. Their shit wage is tax-free, so it ain't so bad.
That's also very true.
Our wages used to be tax-free, and then world wars happened, and that kind of went away, didn't it?
Honestly, if you just ignore the federal government completely and live in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, your taxes might not be too bad. They'll hunt you down eventually, probably.
I don't know, man. Wasn't that supposed to be temporary? The wage tax that they put on everybody?
The federal income tax was supposed to only affect like millionaires and billionaires, and it was only going to be like 1% of their income at that. The biggest lie that we were ever told.
Well, I mean, that's a lie that they like telling over and over again because, for instance, when they built DIA in Denver, they built a toll road highway to go directly to DIA. That was the fastest way to get there. Like you take the regular roads, it's like an hour and a half. You take the toll roads, it's like 30 minutes. You know, you save an hour taking that toll. So it's worth the $8 really each way. So you pay $16 and you save an hour. It's kind of worth it in a way.
We have a toll road in Oklahoma that was built at I-44 basically was built at the time saying, oh, we'll have a toll for 5 or 10 years, pay for the construction of the road, and that'll be it.
So-
To this day, every truckload of shit that passes I-44 has another $20 added to it because of that construction.
So there was this dude, I don't know his name. He was a investor guy who worked a deal out with the government to use government money through eminent domain to buy up farmland in between the city and DIA so that they could build this highway, right? And put his own money into it also. It wasn't just government money, right? But the combination of the government money, eminent domain, and him putting money into it, they built this highway and put a toll on it. And the toll was supposed to pay back the government money that went into it. And once that government money was paid off, the toll was supposed to go away. And this dude would just own the road. And I forget, he was going to sell it back to the city or something like that. So that it would just be like a normal highway that you could use. Well, that was 1996. The toll in 1996 was a couple of bucks. Like you stop at the toll station, it was 50 cents. Now each toll station is like $4. So the toll's gone way up. They never got rid of it. The promise was forgotten about. And that was the reason why people voted yes on it in the first place, was because it was supposed to only be a temporary measure that they just made permanent.
Yep. Like that road I'm talking about, the initial law for it was passed in like the 50s or the 60s or some shit like that. And the toll was supposed to be done by like the 60s or the 70s. And yet, I-44 is a major thoroughfare for trucking in the U.S. So somehow that toll stayed around and then was increased. And now for a semi-truck, it's like $18 or $20. That's just nuts to me. That's how we pay for those quality Oklahoma roads that you're going to get to experience, Honda.
Oh, yeah, I've heard. Doesn't make sense to me, though, because, Colorado should, on paper, have some of the worst roads in the nation. Because every time it snows and then melts and then freezes and melts and freezes, the roads break up. And then they have to use the fucking plows on them, and that takes chunks of fucking concrete or asphalt out or whatever. But then they also go back every spring, and they're constantly working on the roads here. It's a fucking bitch, dude.
Honda, where you are, you get snow and stuff. And where we are, we get mostly sheets of ice. And that's really rough on roads. That's part of it.
Yeah, it's like the same concept anyway. Zorro ask for a wrench. Zorro receive. Actually, I can't give one to Zero because I'm racist, apparently.
Also, the difference between Colorado and Oklahoma road-wise is probably that Colorado actually spends money to fix shit.
Well, we have a whole lot of weed money that goes towards the highways and roads all the time.
We've got a lot of weed money now, too, but I don't know what we're using it for.
Well, they use it for the schools, too. And what they did with the schools,
children.
Well, what they did with the schools, the first year, they bought every elementary school, public school child in Colorado an iPad.
Okay.
And they were like, this is how you're going to do your homework. This is how you're going to get your assignments. This is where you're going to turn them in.
Did it come loaded with stories about Jimmy and Billy touching penises in the woods or some shit like that?
I don't know, but they ended up 1 year later taking all of those iPads back that they gave to every elementary school kid in the entire state, selling them for a fraction of the money that they bought them for, and then buying Chromebooks for everybody.
Why wouldn't you just let the kids keep the iPads at that point?
I don't know. But then they bought Chromebooks for everybody, right? So now every elementary, junior high, high school student in Colorado has a Chromebook provided by the state. The schools themselves, like the elementary school that my kids went to, it was old. It was probably built in 70s, something like that. It's been there for a really long time, but the building itself was fine. There was nothing structurally wrong with it. It was big enough to house the amount of kids that needed to go to school there. There was no problem with it that I could see. They tore that shit to the ground and then built basically the exact same size school. I think it was like 10% bigger, like just barely slightly bigger, but brand new and millions of dollars. And they did it to like several schools that I know of, which means probably a ton of schools that I don't know about. And that's insane to me. Like, how much money did you just waste by gutting and throwing away a perfectly good building that probably just needed some paint and maybe some new wiring or something, like maybe a new window? Oh, let's just tear it down and build a new one. Why? Because we have the money and we need to spend it. If we don't spend it, we won't get it next time. Wasteful ass government, dude.
Get it out everywhere. Now. Get it out. They're saying they're going to break the window. They already walked around back, you guys, so. Here's your tax service. Here's your taxes at play, everyone. Welcome to absolute tyranny. I'd like to know who that lady is.
I don't trust you.
I don't trust you. What I'm learning is if the cops knock on your door, open the window a crack and talk to them through the crack in the window. Do not open your fucking door.
Yeah.
If the cops have reason and cause to come into your house, they're not going to knock.
They'd already be inside. One of the most effective things you can do for dealing with cops that don't have a warrant is just not to answer the door at all.
Mm-hmm.
If they have a warrant, they're going to bust down the door. It doesn't really fucking matter. They'll find a way in.
I mean, if the cops came to my door right now and were like, pound, 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 police, open up, I would yell at the kids, do not open the fucking door. And I would go over to the window and I would crack the window and talk to them through the window. I'm not letting them in. I'm not going to ignore them. Like, if there's some like emergency going on that I need to know about, and me just being like, la, 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 fingers and ears, ostrich, head and ground kind of thing. And then the fucking apartment building burns down. Yeah, I'm kind of an idiot, aren't I? So maybe I should listen to them a little bit and hear what they have to say. But if it's a bunch of bullshit, I'm going to shut that window and then ignore them. Like it. And if they want to come in, they better have a warrant. And if they don't have a warrant, then I've got a lawyer.
That's the real answer for dealing with cops is lawyer up. Don't tell them shit. Let them search, do whatever they're going to do. But like the scariest thing you can do for a cop is tell them that you're going to get a lawyer.
Well, I mean, that means that they're going to have to spend days in court doing stuff, testifying if they actually go forward with what they're saying. Versus they're just looking for the easy victim. They're looking for like the easy tax cattle that they can just give the ticket to, who's going to dutifully pay and do what they need to do so that they're not in trouble and yada, yada, yada. What if they just lie and say there's an emergency just to get you to come out?
You don't talk to them. Like, pretty easy.
That'd be pretty fucked up. Like, they want to arrest me, but they can't come in for whatever reason. No, the video's almost over. Sorry.
Tell him you can't hear it because he's wearing a mask. Keep sharing this out.
Now it's over. Yeah, it was basically over. They didn't end up breaking it, I don't believe.
I'm surprised they didn't. I still think, like, your premise that the difference between Canada and the U.S. right now is the Second Amendment is not incorrect.
So check this out. Back in 2005, our mayor of Denver, John Hickenlooper, had a 10-year plan to eliminate homelessness. Fast forward to today, Colorado has had the biggest percentage change in homelessness in the entire United States.
More homeless.
As in we have more homeless now by percentage higher than any other state in the United States does, period. I don't know how did I say that? It didn't come out right, but you know what I mean.
Whole ass.
Are they asking y'all to start housing the homeless population like California?
Well, the problem is in Colorado, we don't have nearly enough homeless housing for all these people when it gets cold. So when it gets really cold out on the street, what they do is pay local motels and hotels for rooms to house the homeless people.
Well,
so they spend, every time it gets cold enough, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax money to put these guys up for a night. I don't know what the answer is, but that doesn't seem like a good one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not the cheapest way to go about it. Like, that costs a fuck ton of money. Because, like, some of the hotels are, like basic bitch cheap-ass hotels, but some of them are a little bit nicer, and they have their rates that they've agreed to charge in these cases for. And how would you like to be, like, room service or, you know what I mean? Like a maid working at a hotel, and you just had, like, 50 homeless people stay for 3 nights.
Well, don't they make those little tiny buildings? I forget where they have them set up at, but they are basically like a one-room building for homeless people.
They have that in Seattle, I think, or in Portland, if I remember correctly. And they also have them in Los Angeles. The problem with those is no one wants to live there because that's where, like, you get raped. That's where your shit gets stolen. That's where you get, beaten up and stuff. And they don't want to live there because it's like you need like a constant police presence if that's what you're gonna have. Is like a giant park of fucking homeless people in sheds. Like, goddamn.
But how much does one of those cost?
Can't be that much.
I was gonna say, wouldn't that be a cheaper way to go than housing them in a hotel for a night? I mean,
the other thing that they've done is make camping legal inside city limits. So you can just pitch a tent on a sidewalk and the cops can't do anything. It used to be if you did that, they'd come by and swoop you up and put you in a program or something. But now it's just they step over you, I don't know. The homeless problem in Colorado is like the homeless problem in Los Angeles was like 10 years ago. Like, Los Angeles now is insane.
Yeah.
10 years ago, it was bad. Now Colorado is bad. I think in 10 years, it's going to be insane. Sandman says, called a crack den. Yeah, that's what they call them. Because that's the other thing that happens is insane amounts of drug use. And then, like, your neighbor dies and the whole fucking, like, units smell like fucking dead dude for a week and you can't figure out which unit it is. It's not funny.
The future.
I don't know, man. What is the solution to homelessness? You need some sort of mental help for the people that are dealing with it, because the majority of the people who are homeless tend to have crazy mental issues that they're dealing with, or rather not dealing with.
Yeah, that would be a start.
But like, we need a mental health. We need a mental health system that's actually focused on helping people. It'd be nice.
the town that I grew up in, like middle class white neighborhood, yada yada yada, there was this homeless woman, like crazy old cat lady living underneath a bridge in Parker, right? And the like well-to-do people who were driving by this crazy cat woman on a regular basis, like 20 of them decided to get together and fund an apartment. So they paid for 1 year's rent at an apartment and went to like IKEA and bought her some furniture and like a TV and like here's like a card so you can get some groceries, you can go buy whatever you want at the store so that you can get back on your feet or like not be on the street at least, and then we can feel good because we did something, right? Fast forward 2 months, this lady got kicked out of the apartment. She got evicted because she like brought in a bunch of stray cats off the street and they were just shitting all over everything, and she tore holes in the walls and like broke windows and had trash spilling out into the sidewalk and like all of this different stuff. And they gave her warnings and they told her to clean it up, and the police came by and there was like a domestic violence issue that happened and all this other stuff. They had to kick her out. So they gave her a free place to live. Homeless person, free place to live, free food, free everything. Can't even handle it because of the mental issues that she had. So you got to solve those first. Or at least you have to solve those at the same time. You can't solve one problem without solving the other. Otherwise, you still have a problem, I guess.
My thing is, like, did they stick her alone in an apartment? Because that seems like a bad way to go. Like, she's a feral human, right? Like, at that point, you have to, like, adopt them into a family and have them around a normal social environment for a while before they're going to be functional alone in an apartment by themselves.
Well, I don't think anyone wanted to be your roommate.
Nope. That's the reality of most homeless people. No one loves them enough to do what they actually need.
Yeah, wasn't there a story just the other day where someone took in a homeless person and they slit their throat?
Oh, that shit happens all the time. Well, not like that exact thing, but there was a story about I think it was an Asian dude who saw a homeless black dude in the subways, like sleeping on the floor. So he went to the store and he bought some food and a blanket and a pillow and gave him this care package of like food, a blanket, and a pillow so the guy could be more comfortable and have some food. And he like nudges the dude to wake him up to be like, hey, dude, here's some food and stuff. And then the guy wakes up and starts beating the shit out of him and then like bites his face because that's something that zombies do. It's like, do you think that guy's ever going to help a homeless guy again?
Probably not.
Honestly, the sad truth of the homeless situation is most of them probably need to be put down, but no one really wants to say that. Like, you don't have the heart to fucking take them into your house and give them what they really need. You don't have the heart to shoot them either. You're just going to leave them on the street to die. It's kind of cruel.
Well, I mean, there is an argument to be made for, it's like, why don't you feed the deer? And we've talked about this before. Why don't you feed the deer? Well, because then the deer start having lots of little deer, more than they would if you weren't feeding them. And then there's a whole lot of deer and they're all counting on you for food all the time. And then the second you stop feeding them, there's like a fucking whole bunch of deer die from starvation, and it really sucked. And like all the deer might die because there's so many of them eating all the food that none of them get enough food because you stop feeding them. Mm-hmm. Same thing happens with people to some extent. And I think that's part of the evil of foreign aid, ironically, is that it's done with the best of intentions, right? Like there's these people in this country that are starving and they can't feed themselves and it's a terrible situation. And like, God, we have all this food. Maybe we should just send them some. And so they, people do. And then these countries get a regular shipment of food in that they can start feeding people. And now like the immediate problem for those people is solved. And they start having lots of kids, and then they need more food, and you start giving it to them. But then the second you cut off foreign aid to these countries, what's going to happen? catastrophe, because the local farmers who produced what little food that they had before that was not enough to sustain the population that they had went out of business because you can't compete with free. And now you cut off that supply. Now there's no food and everyone starves. It's a terrible, terrible thing. Well, engineer, welcome, sir. Dropped in $5 Canadian. So just made a stream about this. Let me drop a super chat here while it is still legal to do so. Well, very good, Mr. Wealth Engineer. I hope your Canadian experience is going well for you right now. Hopefully you didn't give to the Give, Send, Go or whatever, right? Because they're basically freezing people's accounts who gave to Give, Send, Go or to GoFundMe for the Canadian protest, which is, I don't see how that's even close to logically fucking anything. It just doesn't make sense to me. What do you say if you hit a deer on the road? Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
But seriously though, like when it comes to the homeless people, like it's a matter of fact that homeless people are dangerous. For one reason or another, you're crazy and living on the street. What is it that we should really do about them? Like, seems like there is no good answer. Maybe I'm just too pessimistic about it.
Well, in a way, you're right. I mean, there's not really a good answer.
We're back on the live stream of Ottawa right here. Man, those truckers are fighting hard against those Imperial Walker droids. The Mounties, I mean.
The Mounties on the AT-ATs.
Was that all the stories I had? I think it is. Yep, that's all the stories.
Do you think the drug problem in America is fueling the homeless mental health problem in America? Because it kind of seems that way to me.
Wealth Engineer says, you are right about the homeless and foreign aid. I lived in Haiti and see this happening all over. And I didn't donate, though Give, Send, Go, but many people in my family did. Yes. Now they're all going to have to potentially answer to your federal government about basically a January 6th style investigation into the attempted overthrow or whatever of Canada that you guys just did. That's what they're going to say. Yeah, well, the other problem, though, about foreign aid is the brain drain effect, right? And that's where, like, okay, you're from some poor sub-Saharan African country, and you're smart, and you're hardworking, and you're a good dude, and you've worked really hard, and you've learned how to be a doctor or something, right? So we're going to offer you the opportunity to come over to America and be a doctor here. Wouldn't it be great to be a doctor in America instead of wherever? And so they leave fucking Afghanistan or whatever it is, right? And now Afghanistan has one less doctor. And America has one more. Like, great for us. Terrible for Afghanistan. Canada does have guns, but not enough. Plus, you don't have the cool ones. Y'all can't have AR-15s up there. You can get those pump action ARs, though, can't you?
They can have some sort of AR-15s, I think. Like, they aren't normal.
Yeah, I think they have to be in not 223 5.56. They have to be in, like, 50 Beowulf or something.
I know the workaround for getting high cap 5.56 mags is 50 Beowulf mags, because a 5 or 10 round 50 Beowulf mag holds like 16 or 20 rounds of 5.56. So they have some sort of gun up there that can take 5.56 mags to do that. I don't know. I know the Tabor was legal up there for a while.
What happens if you shoot a 223 through a 50 Beowulf barrel?
It wouldn't even lock onto the bolt.
Isn't the case head the same?
I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know that much about 50 Beowulf, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I know like 300 Blackout, it's the same case head. I guess I don't know. It's just the same magazine, I suppose. You're probably right.
Yeah.
Because if you get 50 Beowulf, it's not like you can use the same bolt carrier group, I bet.
Yeah. I don't know parts compatibility on the 50 Beowulf, but I would guess it's a bolt head and barrel and a magazine.
India is where most of them are coming from these days, says Men of Tupperware. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like back when I was in school, the big push was get a degree in computer science, learn how to program, and you'll make money for the rest of your life because they'll always need more programmers. And so a bunch of dudes that I knew, went to school, paid a bunch of money, spent a bunch of years in college, getting a computer science degree, whatever it is, graphic design, yada, yada, yada. And then as soon as they could, they outsourced those jobs to India because it turns out you can teach Indians how to do the same thing, but they're a lot cheaper.
Yep.
Yeah. Although I do want a Royal Enfield Himalaya. It's a type of motorcycle made in India that's pretty cool. That are pretty cheap. They're like $4,000. But it's based on never mind. They're cool bikes. I want one.
Yay, motorcycles.
Motorcycle equals fun.
I got my solar generator.
I almost bought a generator today, but then I spent $300 on food instead. So,
well, when I saw like the Ukraine shit start heating up, I went ahead and popped on the solar generator that I'd been looking at. I charged my cell phone. It's all accomplished.
My question is, when you go to Google Earth, right, and you're like, okay, I want to see the bottom of the ocean. Why is it so clear right here, but blurry over here? Clear, blurry. Clear.
I believe the ocean maps on Google Earth are like where they've sonared the bottom, right? So it depends on depends on the information they have, right? So like we haven't gone everywhere. I guess.
Is that why there's like these lines that go across the ocean floor?
Yep.
It's just where they sonared.
That would be my guess.
And then they like piece it together. Like, oh, like okay, that makes sense. That does.
Because like, look at all the lines right there in the middle.
Yeah.
That's just the way the ocean floor is there. But back over there where you were, you could. Oh no, you can see it right there. It's like they have ships going back and forth or something with shit on them.
Yeah, totally. I wonder what a wrecked ship would look like on sonar. Like if this was a wrecked ship, could you tell? Or would it just look like a mound of fucking bullshit at the bottom of the ocean?
Sonar is really hard to interpret shit like that. Not to mention, like, a wrecked ship doesn't even look like much if it was a wooden boat, you know? Metal ships have bigger wrecks.
See, this is where I believe Atlantis is.
I think that's a pretty good theory, to be honest. Especially with the whole, like, isostatic depression shit Randall Carlson talks about. I could buy that being a pretty major landmass that vanished in about a week or two.
Well, not to mention also the fact that the ocean levels rose like 200 feet in 100 years.
Yeah.
So even that, like, slowly would fucking make it sink. And 100 years is geologically like over fucking night. You know,
imagine if we were told today the United States is going to be 200 feet underwater 200 years from now. That's basically what I think happened back then. That's why they went to Göbekli Tepe in Egypt and fucking the Grand Canyon and places like that.
Have you ever heard about the there was a 15-foot long great white shark that they put a tag on and they tracked it for like 6 months and they'd, like they'd see where it was every day. And, it traveled over here. Oh, it went over there. Oh, it's swimming at this depth, like that kind of thing. And then one day they were looking at the information on the great white, and it was swimming at 200 feet or something like that. And then all of a sudden, the water temperature around the shark went up 15 degrees, which in that part of the ocean, according to the scientists in the report that I was reading or whatever it was impossible. And then it went down to the bottom of the ocean, thousands of feet down under the water, and stayed there and stayed at that temperature. So what they think happened was a 15-foot long great white shark got swallowed whole by some sort of semi-warm-blooded creature that lives at the bottom of the ocean that's big enough to swallow a 15-foot great white shark whole.
That's crazy. I mean, a really big whale, maybe a really big shark. The shark wouldn't be that warm, though. To be a temperature difference like that, it'd have to be a mammal.
Do sharks have do sharks have warm blood? That's a good question.
Sharks are cold-blooded, if I remember right.
Most sharks, like fishes, are cold-blooded or ectothermic. Their body temperature matches the temperature of the water around them. There are, however, 5 species of shark that have some warm-blooded or endothermic capabilities.
Yeah, but those are the outliers or rarities. For there to be a 15-degree jump like that, I'm thinking it has to be a whale. Maybe a sperm whale ate it.
I don't know, dude. That's a crazy one, though, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the only thing I could think of that would be big enough to eat that whole that's alive is a sperm whale, but I don't know sperm whales eat great whites.
I don't think they do. I think they eat krill. I think that's why they have brushes for teeth.
No. Sperm whales have big...
sperm whale. You're right.
Yeah, they have big teeth, and they eat squids and shit, and they might eat sharks for all I know.
Hold on, let's look that up. But they also don't go to the bottom of the ocean after they eat it, do they?
They actually do spend a lot of time at depth.
Sperm whales feed on several species, notably the giant squid, but also colossal squid, octopus, and fish like demersal rays. Some prey have been taken on accident while eating other items. They have been known to eat the megamouth shark, and there was evidence of them having eaten a great white shark. So yes, I guess they do. That could be it.
I mean, that would be the most logical answer. It could be the Leviathan or some shit. Who knows? But we know those exist, and they do go quite deep.
How big does sperm whales get?
Pretty damn big. They're a couple 100 feet, I think.
52 feet. 90,000 pounds.
It's way shorter than I thought, but still pretty big.
90,000 pounds is pretty fucking big, though.
Yeah.
But 52 feet? Well, think about this. A 15-foot shark versus a 52-foot whale.
Well, look at their mouth, too. Pull up pictures of their mouth, and you'll see what I mean. It could easily swallow a 15-foot shark. They have big mouths.
Yeah, but they have those, little weird fucking mouths, That little bottom jaw.
They look little and weird, but, they could crush a car. It's one of the strongest jaws on Earth. And at least I think this might be what ate that shark, maybe.
Look, it's a sperm whale.
Yeah. Have you seen the video footage that people are getting now free diving with sperm whales? Apparently, they're afraid of submarines and scuba gear and shit. But if you free dive with them, they think you're a whale. And they welcome you into their pod and shit.
That's cool.
I think it's interesting that they're smart enough to realize that you're not a fish, but you're not one of them either, really.
I think it's cool that like if you're in the ocean and getting attacked by a shark, dolphins might save you.
Dolphins might also just play with you until they kill you on accident too. So
yeah, that's true.
Dolphins
they seem to have some sort of empathy and like awareness of what's going on. You know what I mean?
They do, but I think dolphins are kind of like the misunderstood like chimpanzees of the sea. Like just because they're like might fuck up a shark that was fucking with you doesn't mean they're your friends. Like they turn on a dime and do weird, crazy shit, and like they'll realize that they're hurting you and like push your dead body to shore when they're done. Is the issue? They take things too far.
So they're like never enough ammo on a Saturday night chat.
Did he show up last night?
No, he didn't.
Oh,
But you know, when he shows up and he starts showing like girls booty dancing to get me distracted so I can't speak.
That's just great.
He just takes it a little bit too far, you know. Here's all the Canadians yelling at the fucking mainstream media. I think this is so great. This makes me happy. Isn't that just, you know, warm feeling, fuzzy? It's great.
Yeah.
Let on Steel says, look up baleen whale teeth.
Yeah, that's crazy if you've never seen that in person.
Teeth.
They're the big filter feeder things.
Yeah,
like
yeah. Yeah, just like a big ass brush. Do those fibers just continually grow, or how does that work, I wonder?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, whales are cool.
So if you just swam in the ocean and just ate fish by like opening your mouth and filtering out the sea all day, eventually you evolve into that, Honda.
Isn't there some sort of theory about the origin of whale species being dogs? Or
they were
wolves?
very dog-like. They're like they
Well,
look like
if you look at their skeletal structure, there's like some similarity that could only happen if there was a common ancestor between wolves and dolphins and whales, and they think that there was at some point in the distant past a type of dog that lived in the shallows and hunted in the shallows that eventually just kind of like lost its legs, you know?
I know entirely too much about this. So all whales are in a family known as cetaceans, and cetaceans split off from a canid group sometime like in the distant past, and like their relative looked like this like alligator crossed with a dog kind of thing that like lived in swamps, and eventually that kind of led to whales. But like, yes, it was like a dog on land, and then it was kind of a swamp dog, and then it became a whale.
Like that kind of looks like a puppy. This dude right here.
Yeah. Let me try some Google searches.
This guy got swallowed by a humpback whale. What?
Yeah, he was diving. That happened not too long ago.
Yeah, he spit him back out.
A Massachusetts man had a whale of a tale to tell on Friday. Though plenty. Yeah.
Did you know?
Oh, God damn it. I don't want to learn about Massachusetts. Doesn't matter.
I think it's funny that it spit him back out.
So he's like that dude from the Bible story.
Yeah. If you go
how long did he stay in the whale's stomach for? It was like 3 days.
I don't remember. Jonah and the whale.
Yeah, about? Jonah. That's what it was.
So if you go to my screen, I'm sharing. I have pictures up of those first whale thingies.
Yeah, there you go. Whale dogs.
Yep.
Those things kind of look like rats.
They're really fucking weird, dude. Like, this thing looks like they kind of fucked a manatee or something. You see what I mean about their jaws? How they're like all big, like a crocodile or some shit, and they were like that the whole time, apparently. Like there.
You can fit more. That looks like the Budweiser dog. What's his name? Oh, what's that kind of dog? Damn it.
I don't know.
Spuds McGee or Spuds Magoo or whatever his name was.
Yeah, I don't know. That's fucking weird looking though. Shit.
This guy.
I think it's crazy to think that if you go back far enough, this is what whales used to be.
Right, like this guy.
Spuds McKenzie?
Bull Terrier is what they're called.
Yeah. Spuds McKenzie is the dog you're talking about, I think.
Yep, that's right. What did I call him? Spuds McGrew?
I like that.
These dogs just look so funny, but I kind of want one, but they're goddamn expensive.
Patton had one, he named it William the Conqueror. And then it got beaten up by a bulldog, and so he called it Willie. It was a poodle.
Was that the dog that like used to run around with him when he was on base and stuff, and like he'd sit in the meeting and the dog would sit next to him and he'd like scowl at you and the dog would look at you like he wanted to bite you and stuff?
I'm not sure.
I was just watching some shit about Patton earlier today, ironically. About like the life of Patton. Hold on, what was it? History. Patton, a genius for war, full documentary. It was an hour and a half I watched of that shit today. Just today. Like literally just today I watched that. It's crazy. And then I asked my kids, I was like, name one general from World War II. And they were like, how am I supposed to know that? I'm like, God damn it.
I think I could name most of the U.S. ones. There's Bradley, Eisenhower, Patton. Then there's like I'm already running out of them. There's Nimitz as an admiral though.
Well,
Pershing, World War I.
Pershing was the one I was trying to think of.
Then Curtis LeMay.
You say MacArthur?
I didn't say MacArthur. That's a good one.
That's all I got.
Yeah, we did better than your kids.
Got Bradley, Clark, Eisenhower, MacArthur, Marshall, Patton were the top U.S. generals.
Yeah, Marshall was the Army Chief of Staff during World War II. That was the one I was trying to think of. I couldn't. I've forgotten more about World War II than I remember, and it's sad.
What was Pershing in charge of?
Pershing was in charge of the American Expeditionary Force to France in World War I. And then he was also in charge of the whole Pancho Villa raid before that in, I think, 1909, 1903, somewhere in there.
Wasn't Pershing from Alabama?
I'm not sure.
Sorry, MSB 9021's in the chat, so I thought I'd mention Alabama.
I know that Jolly's from Alabama, and that explains a lot about him. I love how Antarctica looks huge by the way they project the map on Google Earth.
Oh, yeah. It's like compared to South America or North America.
Like, you wonder why the flat earthers convince people it's an ice wall. Like, look at this shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, there's legitimately stupid people. I could sell on the idea that there's an ice wall based off of Google Earth.
I would like to melt Antarctica just to see what it looks like underneath.
I would love to see if there's any stone structures under the ice. Because I bet
Antarctica is supposedly the best place to find meteors too.
Well, as I understand it, they survive a lot better there between the thin atmosphere and then the ice to impact into.
Plus,
It's
they're
really easy.
easier to spot because it's like a black spot in a sea of white, you know?
Yep.
Daniel says, what's more likely, life started here on its own or ancient astronaut theory? Mean mustache night strike landing.
I think that there's a mix of both. I think there was already life on this world, and I think that in some point in the distant past, something came and fucked with it, maybe. It's like there's a lot of weird shit in the archaeological record when it comes to the human race in particular, that like we went from being monkeys basically to being fully formed humans in not too many steps. I think that's weird.
Well, there's also the fact that spores can survive in a vacuum.
So can plankton.
So if there was like, okay, let's imagine billions and billions of years ago, there was a star that does not exist anymore that had a planet around it that had life on it, right? And then one day that star blew up because that's what stars do at some point in their life. And they spread all of that material through a huge portion of space. Now, that planet that had life on it, when the star exploded, also exploded and got thrown out into space. So there's potentially biological material left over in space from a planet billions of years ago that got killed off by that star, right? And then at some point, a piece of ice floating around in space from that planet makes it into the gravity well of our planet and crashes in. And then, you know, you've got spores or whatever plankton fucking from billions of years ago that managed to survive somehow, that finds some nutrients that starts to grow.
Here's the best part about this is if you were going to turn something from a rock into a livable planet, the two things that you would need to send to that planet, in my mind, are plankton and spores. Because plankton are like the building blocks of life in the ocean. Basically, if you put plankton in an ocean in a few 100 million years, you will have like fish and shit. If evolution's right at all. And then spores are interesting because they can like form pretty much anywhere to make mushrooms. And then mushrooms will generate soil. Soil generates forests and foliage and stuff like that, that then eventually could be habitated by creatures and shit. So like if you wanted to make a planet, spores and plankton are like two of the best things you could send out. And we know both of them can live in a vacuum. And my thing is, who or what could have made those? Or is it something like you're saying where like a planet exploded? Could there be an intelligence sending these out into the universe, though? I think that's kind of a neat idea.
That's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible. Remember when me and Matt had that giant argument about evolution? And my argument was that evolution has been proven, and his argument was, fuck you.
Yeah. My thing is, I think evolution explains most of what we see on Earth. I think there's a few odd things here and there where it's like, oh, there could be some jiggery pokery. Like dogs, we know for a fact were manipulated by man.
Right.
Other evidence of such things.
Or horses, or cattle, or sheep, or pigs, or I mean, fucking
exactly.
Name a farm animal. It's been domesticated by humans, which means selective breeding, which means at least human-aided evolution has been proven and is an actual thing. So yeah.
If you really do believe that there was a worldwide civilization at some point in the past, though, this might not be the first time that we've like done this to animals. Like maybe we're rediscovering some species. I mean, when we reintroduced the horse to North America, like horses were originally evolved in North America. It's where they were meant to be. That's why they like took here like crazy. They had no natural predators. In like 400 years, we had a population of horses in the millions.
Imagine you bought an island, and this is your island.
Well, I hope the water level goes down.
You got 300 feet across. And 700 feet long. That's actually not a bad spot. You could build a house on top of that.
I think if you could build like the dopest like Earth ship ever on top of there that had some sort of like submarine access, that'd be pretty dope.
Why does it look like all of the waves are emulating from this fucking spot?
That's the aliens coming up out of the water.
Look, they're all like all the waves are originating right here.
Well, it's when they crash, they reverberate back. So it's the only thing in that water.
That's just insane. Like,
I think it's interesting how it's on that plane, like it's a plateau or something underwater that's peeking up.
Yeah. Oh, just crazy. Like that's the tiniest fucking island. Like one big wave and your whole fucking house is gone.
That's what I'm saying. Like an Earth ship that's like built into the rocks with Lexan windows and shit, like made to weather some storms.
Or like this. Is this even an island? Or is it just like where stuff got close to the surface and they decided to take a picture?
Stuff got close to the surface and they decided to take a picture. It's like an atoll, I think.
Ooh, this one's nice. You got fresh water on the inside, maybe?
How big is that?
Like a mile?
We should just like buy a boat and sail there, Honda. Get the Starlink internet.
1.8 miles.
We'll have to bring a lot of fishing gear.
Okay, Jesus Christ. John J. Blackjack Pershing was born in Laclede, Missouri.
What does that have to do with anything? We were never talking about where he was born.
I said he was born in Alabama to invoke MSB 9021.
Oh.
Yes.
I forgot about that, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, we already got that one. Do you think that it's possible that the aliens are just like human beings from now, or from the future rather, that have traveled back to the past to like affect some change because their planet was so fucked up in the future because of things that we did now or in the past that they had to go back and fix it?
I like to think of them like some parts of the Bible talk about the aliens, right? If you ever look into that shit? And some of those passages call them the Watchers. They think that they're just here to watch. And I kind of like that idea because that seems to be what they do. They don't really seem to take an active role except for maybe fucking with nuclear weapons, which seems like maybe they want us not to kill each other. In which, you know, if I was an intelligent race of aliens and I found a planet of monkeys and was looking at them, and then I saw them start detonating nukes, I might watch and be like, okay, well, this is now interesting, but we need to make sure that the nukes don't go off. Like, that would make sense to me. That looks like a runway.
It's an airport. The only thing that lands here is birds, apparently. Hawaiian Islands National Wildlife Refuge, French frigate shoals, Fern Island? Okay.
My thought is, like, what if, like you're saying, there's some advanced version of us or whatever, but they've, like, gotten to the point where, like, they can transverse space and time, see anything, anywhere, or whatever, and, like, they're bored as fuck, so they kind of just go wherever and look around. Like, what if that's where, like, the AI future leads us to, like, little robot dudes that are bored?
Like, what if that's what the aliens are? Is like some futuristic, like bioelectric computer?
Yeah.
That they take your soul out of your human body and put your consciousness into the bio fucking alien body, and then if it ever starts breaking down, they just download you into a new one.
Yeah.
Would you want to live forever, though? Honestly.
Not really. I honestly think existence is kind of painful. I don't know why you'd want to live forever.
like it is. No one wants to die, I don't think, but I don't think you want to live forever either. It's kind of a weird thing.
If you could have eternal youth, beauty, and money, maybe.
Yeah, like you never got sick or had to deal with like bullshit pain or whatever.
Yeah. I had like 3 drinks last night and almost died of alcohol poisoning, I think. So if I could skip moments like that, yeah, sounds great.
What happened here?
The government doesn't want you to see that.
That's another thing. Look at the fucking shape of that. Like, what the fuck?
I like how there are these like holes in the ocean where they took real pictures.
Well, there's supposed to be something there, you would think. Right? Why else would they put that picture there of that hole? But it just says 2022 Google.
That's a secret island base for what's his face? The Facebook dude or the Amazon dude, Jeff Bezos. It's Jeff Bezos' private island, so it's just blued out.
I thought you were just talking about Kauai because Zuckerberg lives there.
No, him too. Any of those billionaires.
Kauai is a pretty fucking cool place, man. Like, this is the greenest place I've ever been. Like, everything has flowers. The grass has flowers. The trees have flowers. The flowers have flowers sticking out of them sometimes.
Do you know what would be really hilarious at this point is if Google or Facebook or any of these billion-dollar companies went, why do we have to stay in the U.S. anymore? And picked like some third world nation and moved their whole operation to there and like just owned the country. Because they could at this point. Like, they're more powerful than the U.S. government in some ways. They're definitely more powerful than like the banana republics.
I have been to this spot. So Kauai
cool.
is where they filmed a bunch of the scenes from Jurassic Park. And if you drive around this one spot of Kauai, it's weird, dude. It's like, I have seen this before. I know this spot. I have seen this on camera. Where's the dinosaurs at? Like, what the fuck?
I like how the islands that they were supposed to be on don't really exist. They're like on the Pacific coast of Costa Rica. There's no islands there. I love Hawaii. I want to go there.
I had a friend in high school he was in his backseat of his mom's car and they got rear-ended by a fucking commercial truck. And he had to have like back surgery and facial reconstructive surgery, and like his jawbone got broken in 3 places. Like, he got fucked up. And then they got paid, because that's what happens when you get hit by a commercial truck and you live, is they give you lots of money. So they just like she ran like a Great Clips. Like, she's like a manager of a Great Clips, his mom.
Yeah.
So they just found a Great Clips in Hawaii that needed a transfer, and then took their settlement money and fucking bought a house in Hawaii, and now they live there. I don't blame them. I would, if like I had money to move wherever I wanted in the country, Hawaii would possibly be on the list. Although their gun laws fucking suck.
Like, I think there's a few things about Hawaii that suck. And the first thing is you can't just drive there. So you'd have to sell your car or ship your car and then get there by boat or plane and then like reset up your whole life. So it's like going to take some money.
Yeah. But then you can be like, bam, 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 bam,
The nice part is, like, weather-wise, Hawaii is pretty dope. Like, they don't
the other
really
thing that's
have
weird,
hurricanes and shit.
every day is 12 hours long. Like, the sun is up for 12 hours, then it is dark for 12 hours. And then the next day, the sun is up for 12 hours, and then in December, the sun is up for 12 hours. You know what I mean? Like, all year round, no matter what, it's always sunny. You got like the fucking perfect weather. I fucking love it, dude. I fucking love Hawaii. But it's goddamn expensive. Bam, 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 bam.
My thing is, if I had, like, Jeff Bezos money, I would go and buy an entire island there, and that would just be Rachel World. And I don't get why none of them do that.
Okay, so Lahui is right here. That's where you land when you fly in. I think the hotel that we stayed at was up here. Is this it? Yes, this is totally it. This is where we stayed. I don't know, man. Like, this was like the best week of my life in some ways, as far as relaxation and just not having any worries, and everything was just great, you know. It's a good memory. It's a good memory, Hawaii. Although I still smoked cigarettes back then. Cigarettes are a pain in the ass in Hawaii.
I guess they tax the fuck out of them, don't they?
Yeah, like the cheapest pack of cigarettes that you can get in Hawaii is like $18, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, let's say you want to smoke a cigarette. Okay, I'm at this hotel. Where can I smoke? Can I smoke in the room? No, absolutely not. Can I smoke on the patio? No. Can I smoke on the sidewalk? No. It's against the law. There's only certain specific, clearly marked, specified areas, at least in Kauai where we were at, where it's legal to smoke.
So one of my things...
Can you smoke in your car while driving? No. That's against the law. Like, what the fuck, dude?
One of my things with the smoking thing in the U.S. is it's really weird that all of a sudden they're really anti-smoking. And like Hawaii, there is like typical of New York, California, and many other places where like the left has just gone crazy. I don't know if it's just them being overprotective or if it is really that they are Nazis and hate cigarettes, because the Nazis hated cigarettes.
I guess I didn't know about the Nazis and their hating of cigarettes.
Like, the Nazi soldiers and shit would smoke them because they were common folk or whatever, but, like, if you were in the SS and smoked cigarettes, you would be kicked out. They didn't
this Sheridan resort was right next door to where we were staying. Like, on the beach, you just walk a little bit up the beach and you're at the Sheridan resort. Yeah. And apparently this place is, like, way more expensive than the place that we were staying at. And these people were having a wedding, and they were having like their wedding reception, like dinner or whatever, you know, and everyone was walking in. And like, we just got done with a bunch of wedding stuff. So we're all wearing nice clothes and, you know, so we're like, fuck it. We'll just try to walk in. Oh, hell no. They were not having it, dude. Like, they were instantly like, who the fuck are these guys? Get them the fuck out. We got kicked out of the Sheridan so quick.
See, I'm always amazed at that places like that exist in places like Hawaii because of the nature of the place. Like, you know, you would assume you could show up in shorts, flip-flops, and a Hawaiian shirt anywhere.
Oh, and there's a Walmart. Fuck, I forget where it's at exactly. We went to Walmart when we were in Kauai to like buy some supplies, you know?
Yeah.
So on the island, there are chickens everywhere. Everywhere you go. So apparently, like, a long time ago, there was a dude who had a big-ass chicken farm. Mm-hmm. And then Hawaii got hit by a hurricane. And, like, it smashed up all the chicken cages. And a bunch of chickens died. But some of them just, like, survived and escaped. And thrived. They thrived because it's, like, a tropical paradise with 1 million bugs to eat. And everything's great for chickens. So there's just chickens everywhere. So we're walking through Walmart. And there's like 15 chickens inside of this Walmart. You're like walking through a fucking aisle. There's a chicken next to you that's just like bark, 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 like walking around, you know.
Can you just kill them and eat them?
And that's the thing. It is illegal to kill a bird in Hawaii because there's so many different kinds of like endangered species of birds or whatever.
Why not kill the chickens?
So they just put out this fucking like blanket statement about, and I think that they get to kill the chickens, like the government does, you know, and occasionally they probably go on like a chicken hunt. But yeah, you're not allowed to eat the chickens. So if you're like hungry and you fucking run over a chicken and you like try to cook it and you get caught, it's a crime.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine why they would not want people to hunt the chickens for food.
Yeah, there's like 1 billion chickens on
Yeah,
Hawaii.
like you have a problem legitimately. Like they're gonna kill the ecosystem of that whole island. They probably already have. Like the damage that just them being let loose on that island and breeding like that would do is insane. The bugs and birds that would be lost from that.
Some estimates put feral chicken population at 450,000 chickens on Kauai. Just that one island.
You know,
well, there you go.
There's an endangered bird called a chicken hawk. I'm pretty sure you could release those there.
Can you kill the chickens in Hawaii? Let's see if what the locals told me was true. Last major contributor to the Kauai chicken population was also a shocker, even though people wanted to live all over, blah, blah, blah. The fowl is protected under state law, like all birds of Hawaii. The moa is protected, important. Blah. Okay, yeah, you can't kill them. There you go.
That's insane.
All right, guys. Well, it's been 2 hours and 15 minutes. I didn't realize we've been going this long.
I get protecting the other birds, you know? Like, that makes tons of sense.
But the chickens?
Yeah, well, like, the native birds that are already endangered and now being hunted to death by chickens, probably. Have you ever seen chickens go after a mouse?
Yeah, they gobble them up like a piece of candy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They don't even chew.
Like, people don't realize, like, chickens are predators, basically. We're just very lucky that they're tiny.
The dodo bird. That would be scary, dude. Or not the dodo.
Yeah.
What was the one that was like bigger than an ostrich that used to hunt people? It was in
the terror bird.
10,000 BC. Terror bird, that's what it was.
Yeah. They're scary as fuck. They're basically a 6-foot chicken with a giant beak.
That like to eat meat.
Yeah. Well, that's all birds eat meat. I think that's like the lie of chickens. Oh, look, they're eating the corn or whatever. But like, if you give them half a chance, they'll eat cats or some shit, you know?
Would they eat chicken?
Yeah, they will eat chicken.
So if you like feed your chickens chicken, do you make zombie chicken?
It doesn't do good things to them, I bet.
What if you cook it first? Then it's okay.
Well, I've seen chickens eat cooked chicken before.
Or like feeding a cow beef jerky.
I don't know if they'd do that.
I bet a cow would eat beef jerky if you gave it to him. That's fucked up, but I bet it would. All right, boys. Well, we are going to go ahead and end it there. Thanks for showing up. I'm not sure if Matt's doing a chat tomorrow night or not. If he does not end up doing one, we'll do a B Squad chat to make up for it probably. And if he does, we'll see you there. So see you guys tomorrow night. Peace out. Deuces, y'all. Shall not be in fridge. And I just want to say thank you to all of the Hunan Muhammads out there. We do truly, truly appreciate everything that you do for Hank Strange in these trying times. Good night.